Hi everyone, Music Man here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for another vinyl update where I go through a bunch of records that have recently been added to my collection. That is essentially the deal, that is the vibe, that's what we're doing here. So let's go ahead and do it, getting an essential text over here. Yes, thank you, Giggins. All right, well, got a bunch of records. Some I haven't even fully pulled out of the box yet. So I'll be doing that in front of you. Bunch of stuff here. So, you know, let's just get straight into it. Starting with, bam! Jonathan Richman's I, Jonathan. I've spoken about Jonathan Richman on many an occasion. This record over here, I, Jonathan, I think is one of my favorites of his. It's one of the best and most underrated singer-songwriter records of the 90s, in my opinion. It's very funny. It's very silly. It's very rock and roll influenced. It's very poetic and beautiful, especially on the closing track, Twilight in Boston. You got bangers on here like Parties in the USA, not to be confused with the Miley Cyrus song. Tandem Jump, You Can't Talk to the Dude, a tribute type track to the Velvet Underground, which I love personally. I feel like is a must listen if you listen to the Velvet Underground at all. And also, I Was Dancing in a Lesbian Bar. One of his best tunes of all time. One of his best and most fun tunes of all time. I've been familiar with this for years, but I've only ever had it digitally, never had a physical copy, because I honestly just kind of casually going into the record store, I never ran across a physical copy of this, so I just decided to order one because it just wasn't crossing paths with me. So, and this seemingly is, you know, obviously like a more recent repressing of the record, but nice matte finish on the cover. Flattering photo of Jonathan. What a smile on this guy. Oh, some interesting, like, you know, liner notes. Can't really see, it's too washed out. But you know, personnel and everything on here. Standard black pressing. Pretty plain sleeve as far as, like, you know, the material and makeup and all that. On the back it says, I've known Jonathan for a number of years. I've been on a number of records that he's made, but I've never worked with him. Okay. Because nothing you do with Jonathan is ever work. As an artist, Jonathan reminds me of Picasso. I think he's a genius, and I love him. He and his songs have a spiritual purity that is always rare. Jonathan suggests that the purity around, or purity and beauty that he sings about, which, I mean, you know, definitely like themes within his music, were everywhere long ago. This is one of the rare instances in which Jonathan's lying. His kind of purity and beauty were always once in a lifetime. Okay, interesting. Neda Claflin in 92. Very cool quote. But yeah, there is definitely like an innocence to Jonathan's music that makes it, I think, like infinitely appealing and fun and almost like childlike. You know, there's like a sense of childlike wonder to Jonathan's music that I love and kind of keeps me coming back. So highly recommend this album. Great record. Amazing record. We have the Kinks over here. Lola versus Powerman and the Moneygoround Part 1. Great, you know, kind of British rock record, 60s record. Incredible album, very theatrical, very ornate. You know, obviously the Kinks had their creative heyday around the same period that, you know, Beatles, Stones, Who, everything, and all of that, you know, but they were, again, especially on this record, by comparison, much more theatrical, and especially on tracks like Lola, you know, very quite cheeky for their for their time period. Definitely recommend this album, as well as like, you know, the band's older stuff, you know, earlier stuff that's like a little bit more just kind of straightforward garage rock. Obviously, the Kinks wrote some amazing garage rock bops in their lifetime. Incredible songs like Waterloo, you know, Waterloo Sunset. Beautiful tunes, beautiful tracks. One of the best bands of the 60s, point blank period. Great record. Highly enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. If you watch my TikToks and my shorts, you know that recently I got some Billy Joel pickups. I mean, nothing too crazy here in terms of packaging, and because it's Billy Joel, and Billy Joel is like not one of the hottest artists culturally right now, all these albums are pretty goddamn cheap, you know? You buy these vinyl used and in very good condition for less money than you would a new pressing or a new CD of any of this stuff. If you're looking to get into Billy Joel, I mean, primo piano rock right here. 52nd Street or The Stranger, great places to start. I mean, obviously, you know, you guys I'm sure have heard hits like Piano Man and all that. But this is a far better album than Piano Man itself. I wouldn't start, I mean, you could listen to the song Piano Man, but I wouldn't start with Piano Man. I would start with this. I would start with The Stranger. Great records, fantastic records, very consistent, very well written, very well produced, awesome performances. Billy Joel just killing it from front to back. Just so great. Song to song. No skips, pretty much. Glass House, 1980 record from Billy. Also quality, also great tracks on it. Bangers and hits too. Also predominantly a piano rock record, but Billy on this record is doing a little bit more of like a throwback rock and roll thing while simultaneously embracing some of the prevailing new wave elements and aesthetics that were, you know, kind of ramping up at the time. And I think as a result of that, a little bit of the magic is lost, and some of the rock and roll, like 50s rock and roll revivalism, comes across, in my opinion, a little bit hokey and not quite accurate to the time period he's trying to give a nod to. Again, there's still great tracks on here, and there's, believe me, as far as Billy Joel albums go, you could do way, way, way worse than this. I would even recommend this over Piano Man. But you know, still a very good album. Not my favorite, but still a very good quality Billy Joel album. Just want to let you guys know. Bit of a rock and roll throwback, bit of a new wave thing going on with this one. Then we also have Innocent Man, which has tons of great tracks on it. Downtown Girl, all that. This is an interesting record. I could sort of see why this album is not one of his most critically acclaimed. I mean, obviously, again, very popular and very good tracks on here. I could see why it's not one of his most highly praised, because I do feel like the vision falls a little bit on side B in terms of what the album is going for. But, and I do think stylistically this record isn't going to be for everybody, because Billy Joel, like with this record over here, he's looking back a little bit, but I would say he's looking back even further, because like with Uptown Girl, there are numerous songs on here where Billy and his band are doing like a bit of a doo-wop thing. However, I find it very endearing, and there's like a theatrical kind of element to it, and it's very cute, it's very adorable, and I would say it's very kind of, it's good cheesy fun. It's good cheesy fun. I would say this Billy Joel album to me is the album in his discography that is most defined by just being good, cheesy fun with very good songwriting. And I don't think the doo-wop thing is going to be for everybody, and there are some tracks on the record that really aren't like, you know, quite doo-wop flavored that I feel like stick out like a sore thumb as a result of it. But the tracks that do head in that doo-wop direction, I mean, you know, you're not talking about like the most original sort of true blue doo-wop sound of all time, but the way he sort of works it in with like the piano rock and pop rock elements, it's very cute, it's very enjoyable, it's very fun. I actually liked Innocent Man more than I thought I was going to. Shout out to Otis Redding. Otis Redding sings soul. Incredible vocal performances on this thing. Otis's voice is just unparalleled. Just the range, the passion, but then also the gruffness and the grit of it, just amazing. Amazing vocals. And I mean, you know, Old Man Trouble, Respect, Change Gonna Come, Loving You Too Long, and, you know, Wonderful World, Satisfaction too. I mean, you got a great track list, great mix of songs on here. Obviously, all of it isn't original, but like, you know, even during the moments where Otis is doing a version, like, you know, his voice is so awesome and his band is so fun and the performances are so good that, you know, just kind of hearing some of these tracks reimagined is worth it. You know, this is a reissue, so it's like a real nice, thick, quality pressing. Sounds amazing. Sounds fantastic. If you can get your hands on this Rhino Reserve version, I highly recommend it. The record is a great quality. It sounds great. And again, it's just like a great album overall. I know I didn't pull apart these albums over here. I mean, you know, again, these are like super duper 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 common pressings of massively popular hit albums, and they're in really great quality. There's not really much to be said. You know, I'm just sort of saying these are some very good Billy Joel albums, and, you know, in your own local record store, I'm just saying, like, a copy of one of these records will run you pretty cheap. You know, these are not like super expensive albums. There's lots of copies of these records everywhere. And again, I feel like people overlook them because, like, a lot of people, you know, there's nothing wrong with Billy Joel. I don't feel like people are in sort of like a moment culturally where they're feeling negative about Billy Joel in the way that some people, you know, sort of like, in order to seem cool, they're just like, I don't like the Beatles. The Beatles suck. I don't know if we're in a negative Billy Joel moment right now. I just feel like we're in a moment where Billy Joel's being just a little tiny itty bit overlooked, which again feels silly to say because Billy Joel, one of the most popular artists of all time, massively rich, massively successful. Obviously, you know, Billy Joel isn't dying for another dollar in his pocket or anything like that. I'm just saying, if you're in your local record store and you run across one of these and it's in great condition and the price is cheap, pick it up. It's a great record. It's a very good pop rock record. It's a very good piano rock record. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to have fun. I didn't have any, previous to this, any Moody Blues in my collection, so I decided to fix that with, pretty sure this is their sophomore album here, one of their most celebrated albums of all time. Their crossover with, I always can't recall this off the top of my head, the London Festival Orchestra, conducted by Peter Knight. Some art rock vibes, some pop rock vibes, but with like heavy orchestrations, obviously, with the London Orchestra on here. And while I don't think the orchestrations and the rock instrumentation always come together perfectly, and it's not like, you know, the most high octane experience of all time as a whole record, when it all does come together well, especially on, you know, numerous tracks on the B-side, which, you know, obviously, like Nights in White Satin is, you know, kind of highlighted on the front cover here for a reason, because it's just an incredible, mind-blowing song. You know, again, the way the vocal harmonies and string layers kind of come together on that track, it's just pure bliss. It's like actually one of the most blissful sounds in, you know, music recorded in the 70s, I would say, point blank period. Older pressing over here, obviously, and I took a look. Didn't necessarily want to pay $20 for it, but when I, you know, opened it up, it was like super clean, super well maintained. So I was like, okay, you know, why not? Why not? It's in great. The record itself is in great condition, and it sounded awesome when I put it on the turntable. So figured it couldn't hurt. But yeah, great album, very good. Again, those orchestrations are life-changing. And, you know, these are tracks I had obviously heard previously, but hearing it on vinyl, on a good system, hearing the full record, wonderful. Got this for $1. You know, this is like one of those random thrift store bin buys that, you know, it's $1. You just pick it up because it looks interesting. And you know what? I don't feel like I was overcharged for the experience that I got. This is, and you can look this up. I found this like, on the internet. You can find it places. The Clancy brothers and Tommy Makem, The Rising of the Moon, Irish Songs of Rebellion. It's a series of Irish folk tunes with a, obviously like a rebellious bent, like a political folk song, I guess you could say. And it's cool. I like the vocals a lot. I like the folk instrumentation. It's very stripped back. It's very raw, but, for what it is, it's very interesting. And it's, essentially like a piece of cultural history. I very much love it and appreciate it for that. I wouldn't say it's like the best Irish folk music I've ever heard in my entire life because, again, the performances and the instrumentation are so stripped back and raw that it's not like very, I would say, like the experience of listening to it isn't very lively, and it isn't very sort of dense or layered or anything like that. It's more of a contemplative type listen. It's as far as like folk songs go, it's less like an event and more like a kind of reading the paper. I guess you could say it. You sort of take it that way, which I think is still an essential thing. Staying aware. I guess you could sort of kind of take it as that in a way. But yeah, this is an interesting listen. Again, I don't feel unhappy at all that I paid like $1 for this used, and it was in good quality. And I would check it out. OMD, Orchestral Maneuvres in the Dark. This is their debut. One of the best new wave acts out of the UK, synth pop acts out of the UK. Though this is not my favorite album from them. I just like kind of picked this up on a whim because I didn't have their first album. I had never seen this sort of like cover for the record, so I decided to just basically like pick it up and familiarize myself. This is kind of like one of those early stages, primordial type albums where a band is like really still kind of like getting their sound and getting their songwriting chops together still. There were a few highlights here and there, but like I think they've written stronger, more standout, more melodic, more memorable tunes for sure. But if you're a bit of an early 80s kind of new wave addict and aficionado, it's something that you should definitely check out for sure. But yeah, again, I hadn't run across this this cover of it before, and I'm not really like familiar with the history. It's a little marked up as well in terms of like some labeling, additional labeling thrown onto it. I don't really know what like the origin of this pressing is, but again, as somebody who has a bit of a bias toward this era of music, it was definitely a cool find and something I'm glad that I picked up. So again, if you're looking to broaden your synth pop horizons, definitely an album to check out. The first Orchestral Maneuvres in the Dark album, or OMD, or really any 80s OMD album. All right, Craig Mack, Flava in Your Ear, one of the best 90s rap singles of all time. Iconic, amazing production, amazing rapping. Check out the music video too. I mean, visually it's a music video that's inspired a lot of other videos and a lot of references. But yeah, if there's not a single that you're familiar with, please familiarize yourself. Some early classic bad boy shit. Yeah, this honestly, this, when I found this, and I checked out the record itself, pulled into, like in the sleeve. I mean, you're probably not going to be able to make this out just from the camera, but you can't fully tell. Actually, it's not. I mean, the record itself is a little beat up. Like, this thing did get like played out, which this album had not album. It's a single. This 12-inch, this single had a life before me, So when I put it on, I was like, is this going to sound like too scratchy? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? But it actually played through real nice. So I was very pleased, very happy about that. But yeah, it's a great single. Record itself played through and sounded great. Craig Mack, Flava in Your Ear. All right. I have a cool repressing here. Cryptopsy, None So Vile. classic record. One of the just nastiest death metal albums of the 90s. Absolutely thrilling guitars that sort of like vary between solos that are actually quite melodic and I would say like, you know, conventionally beautiful and inspiring. But then on top of that, you have like, you know, leads and riffs that are just some of the most demented. Like, how did you even come up with this? This is just so fucking weird. Some of the weirdest guitar work on a death metal album of this era. And this is a repressing that's been due for a long time, and apparently it's like limited to 500 copies. Shout out to Seasons of Mist for throwing this my way. Definitely a death metal album that needs to be on your radar. I'm sure if you're, you know, a hardcore fan, you're already aware of this album. But if this is a genre that you're looking to orient yourself in, that you're looking to familiarize yourself with, Cryptopsy's None So Vile. I mean, while there are easier listens in the Death Catalog, early Morbid Angel, that sort of thing, to kind of like ease yourself into the genre a bit, if you just want to dive head fucking first into something gnarly, definitely listen to this Cryptopsy album, None So Vinyl. Yeah, you know, standard black as far as the record, but again, this is just a 500 copy repressing, and it's a record that a lot of people have been begging to get repressed for a minute now. Picture of the band on the back. But yeah, again, shout out to Season of Mist for throwing this my way. There you go. All right. Quick shout out to Nerver and Chatpile with TGIC Rex, Reptilian Records. Got this. Got two versions of this new split they recently came out with, which you know, spun this, and this one's still sealed over here. But new split that they have out together. It's heavy, it's nasty, especially the Chatpile tracks on this split. Definitely recommend this split from them. I also got thrown some others that I've been enjoying from them. A band I've mentioned a couple of times, either on, I think, this channel or on stream. Missouri Executive Order 44. It's 44, yeah. If you're looking for some nasty noisecore, if you're looking for some fast, nasty, aggressive noisecore that's a bit wild and out there, not in the same way that bands like The Locust are, but you know, if you're familiar with bands like The Locust, you can kind of imagine a band like this kind of popping off during the same time period they did and having like a lot of crossover appeal with a lot of the same fans. You know, the stuff Missouri Executive Order has been putting out so far, frankly, is pretty cool. So I'm excited to kind of see where they go from, you know, obviously this little 7-inch over here, which again, look them up, Missouri Executive Order 44, and this like project over here, Salt Sermon, which you know, again, it's very noisy, it's very fast, songs are short, band is not trying to take up too much of your time over here, and whoa, this is sick as fuck. Oh my god. That's a really cool thing to do with the, you know, blank side of an album. You know, because again, like, and this is like nothing new. Some of these bands who would like drop music like this, that was just so fast, so aggressive, so short in terms of structure and brevity, they would drop a 12-inch and then just the other side of it would be totally blank, totally flat, nothing on it. Because, I mean, it's like the entire album is here. The entire project is here. This is the entire project. It's happening across this. So what do you do with the other side? Put a print on it, put some kind of like picture disc or something, do something cool, do something fun, do something weird. This is interesting. Again, shout out to Missouri Executive Order 44. This Salt Sermon project, and you know, to TGIC Records for sending this your boy's way. All right, boom, 10 out of 10. Let God sort them out. We are letting God sort them out. That's what we are doing. God is sorting them out right now. Have not popped this open yet. From what I understand, this is clear. Yeah, crystal clear vinyl. Now, unfortunately, Clipse, I think we're put in a position... Oh no. Fuck. I think Clipse were put in a position where they had to print this album because of the sample clearance issues without So Be It on there. So this pressing, sadly, does not have So Be It on it. And also, from what I understand, it doesn't even have the Tyler, the Creator feature on it. So the Tyler feature is not on this pressing. I have another copy, so I'm not too broken up about this, but apparently there are newer versions, like especially like the CD copy of this album where you can get those tracks. So, you know, there's that. I'm thinking of getting a CD copy just to have like a physical, because those are two of my favorite moments on this album. Like So Be It is amazing, and the Tyler feature I feel like is one of the best features on the record. I don't want to not have the Tyler feature. Anyway, Let God Sort Him Out, incredible album. One of the best. I mean, obviously I gave it a 10, but you know, I can say definitively one of the best hip hop albums of the year. Surely going to go down as one of the best of the decade. And incredible production from Pharrell, Pusha T, Malice, back together. Just the creative and brotherly chemistry is incredible. Just print the image twice. I mean, I guess you wouldn't put the bars on here. And I guess the liner notes are like pretty straightforward. But like, you know, you wouldn't want to do like thank yous? Thank yous nothing? No message? I don't know. Anyway. Nothing too crazy, apparently. Keeping it simple. Keeping it straightforward and simple. Clear vinyl looks great. Love that. What a picture. The upside, you can see my face through it. See my beautiful, darling face through it. Fun. Awesome. I've not spun this yet, obviously. I just opened it, but I haven't sort of pulled it out because I've just been like, you know, just streaming the album like crazy. So I've just been streaming it, you know. But I'll put this on very soon. Now that I've popped it open. Get in there! Get in your house! Get in your home! Cool. Cool. All right, couple more big things left. Big things. First off is this. I don't know if you guys remember recently on one of these vinyl updates, I shouted out a compilation, a selects of this new TRAIIA compilation. Basically, the idea behind this compilation is it's a charity comp and it's supposed to bring awareness to trans rights. It's got like 46 tracks, like over 100 musicians in total on it from what I understand. And yeah, when I talked about this on the channel, what I was referring to is just like simply one single 12-inch that featured like some choice cuts from the project, in which, you know, there's like originals, there's cover songs too. Andre 3000 was on, you know, sort of like the sampler selects version of this project that I was given and talked about the last time. I actually got, and shout out to Red Hot, the organization who sort of like put the compilation together. I was given this fuller version, complete version now, since I talked about the, you know, just the selects, and was written a message. Dear Anthony, I'm Dust. I conceived and produced TRAIIA. Thank you so much for displaying selects so prominently in your recent videos. This 6 LP box set was a major labor of love and contains so much wisdom from artists who still care about our future. Hope you treasure it. From there, there's you know, another recommendation of the album encased in here, I believe, and some, you know, personal stuff as well, and I'm probably not going to, like, you know, go over, but you know, still, shout out to Dust for passing me the complete version. I didn't even, you know, expect that was going to be the case after I talked about the selects. I mean, it's like a cool compilation regardless, with a lot of great names. Oh boy, oh boy, oh my gosh, whoa! That is crazy. Holy shit. Holy crap. This is like a hard plastic box. What the fuck? Holy crap. Holy moly. Holy spamoli patoli cannoli. Wow. Wow. That is nuts. That is nuts. You got the spines on there. It's like, you know, obviously like, you got the light blue to the orange. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. And all the sort of like artists involved on the spines over here. Adrian Lenker, Alan Sparhawk. You have Faye Webster, Fleet Foxes, Devendra Banhart, Dirty Projectors, Bill Callahan, Blake Mills, Arthur Baker on here, Andre 3000, like I said earlier. Dang. And, oh, wow, the names are all over. They're on every part of the box. They're all over the place. Lee Ronaldo, Yeeji, Lorraine, I'm just Moses Sumney. I'm just reading names. I'm just reading names. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is insane. This is some of the most insane packaging I have seen. Wow. Again, this is like a hard plastic box. A hard plastic box. Very cool. And as I said earlier, just the 6 LPs that are contained here. Very cool. Whoa. 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 This is elaborate as hell. Whoa. Wowzers. Wowzers. Trousers. Mario. Bowsers. Damn. Probably not going to have the capacity to sort of like pull all of this open and out. It looks like black sleeves, black pressing. Nice heft on the record itself. Very awesome. And again, very, very elaborate. Very, as well, detailed sort of, you know, labeling in terms of like who's on what songs. Because you do have some very cool crossovers on a lot of these tracks too. You know, like with the Soft Ronin track features Frankie Cosmos. Then you have the Benet track that also has Faye Webster on it. And you also have Jeff Tweedy and Claire Rousset together on a track. And the Devendra Banhart track also has Blake Mills on it. And so on and so on and so forth. So it's like, you know, it's not just like random individual songs, it's like crossovers and stuff like that. Very cool. Very interesting. And an entire book. Trans people have always existed, often as spiritual healers and leaders, and with many different names across time and culture. Continued. Very awesome. Again, shout out to Red Hot. Dang. Countless creature comfort. Interesting. When to start the music. How to play the music. Choosing the sacred space. There's instructions. Damn. And words by Dust Reed, who goes through this entire thing. Wow. Holy shit. Okay, I need to really like, listening to this is going to be like a project. I need to like spin this whole thing. This is an experience. And again, thank you to Dust for sending me this as well, which is the new Plato 3 project, which was recommended to me in the message, and I will be checking that out as well. Thank you. The Devil Has Texas. Yes, this Plato record too. Okay, boom. Wah! All right. Last big thing that we got to talk about is this Joni Mitchell compilation project, which you can find on streaming if you punch in Joni Mitchell's name now. You may look her up and be like, what's this new thing? Joni's Jazz. What this compilation tries to address here is kind of like a decades-long perception issue, which if you know anything about Joni Mitchell, you know that she personally has felt like she has had. And what that perception issue is that the world just like kind of purely sees her as just simply a folk singer, which obviously, you know, Joni Mitchell is in her own right. I mean, that is an accurate assessment. However, Joni has always felt that she is not just simply a folk singer, she's not always been comfortable with, you know, just simply taking on that categorization and only that categorization. In a lot of instances, she has been very vocal about what she has felt to be like an oversight of the jazz influence within her music and the way her music kind of like, you know, incorporates jazz, either, you know, sort of like melodic ideas or compositional ideas, improvisation, depending on the album. Now, these elements are not as clear quite in her early work as it is on, like, you know, some of her mid-70s stuff and work she would drop later. And this album essentially draws attention to those works and collaborations she has done over the years with jazz artists who she had like very close personal and collaborative relationships with, be it Herbie Hancock or Wayne Shorter or Charles Mingus, who, you know, she worked with very closely, like for an album titled after him. And, you know, I mean, it's a very all-encompassing large compilation here. There's like dozens and dozens of tracks on this thing, and it is 8 LPs in total with, you know, obviously like 16 sides, and so it's a lot. This thing is a lot. However, Joni and her team did a really good job of, you know, essentially like putting a book with this thing, giving you a lay of the land, and putting in some like, you know, notation and notes, some liner bits, where you can sort of like see what projects and eras and time periods certain songs came from. So if a certain thing stood out to you, or if you liked a certain thing, you can kind of like, oh, that song is off of like, you know, Hijira, for example. Oh, I can go look up that record. Oh, or, you know, this album came off of, what was that 90s album that she had, whose title is escaping me. But it's all listed out in here. Night Ride Home, you know. Oh, I like that song. You go check out Night Ride Home. And there's some demos in here as well that, you know, apparently like, from what I understand, hadn't, you know, seen wide release before. So it's like, you know, I would say this compilation is like it's like a roadmap. You know, this compilation is like a roadmap. It's a very excessive and very large roadmap, and on top of it, I would say that you know, some of the tracks make the cut on here just merely by virtue of the fact that she is collaborating with a jazz or jazz adjacent artist, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the end result that we're getting on the song is itself a jazz song. Like, there are a lot of songs, a great deal of the songs on this project are in fact not like strictly jazz songs. A vast majority of Joni's music is not like strictly jazz music, you know, but she has written like, you know, tracks that have a jazz pop blend, a jazz fusion blend, a vocal jazz thing too. Like, she's written music that clearly, you know, has a jazz slant to it. But not all the music on this compilation is. You know, some of it is like crossovers with jazz artists, but they're not making jazz music per se. You know, I wouldn't say this album is like, this project, this compilation is like going to be for the jazz snobs out there who are looking for like the most condensed works in Joni's discography where it's just simply a jazz thing. What this album delivers stylistically is really all over the place. You know, again, I feel like I wouldn't even really have much of an understanding of why this exists if it were not for the fact that Joni Mitchell herself has voiced on numerous occasions that she has felt like the jazz inspirations in her music are sort of overlooked and are underappreciated. And I would say that's like a quality about how people perceive her that has consisted even, not consisted, but continued even to today, as there has been like a resurgence in her popularity among a lot of young music fans, especially women. You know, it could continually, this is sort of a thing that people don't really appreciate about Joni's music. You know, I mean, she's got records with like Jaco fucking Pastorius all over them. You know what I mean? Like, she's clearly somebody who listens to and appreciates jazz music and borrows ideas from it. And a lot of her like 70s stuff, where she was like going in more of kind of a jazz fusion direction, like her songwriting kind of took on a more, I would say, like boundaryless, explorative, you know, kind of like a tone, which, you know, I find very interesting. You know, there are also some problematic eras of this, I'd say problematic characteristics of this era of Joni's music. You know, I wouldn't look up the original cover of Don Juan if you want to save yourself a headache. I do like that it got, you know, sort of like reoriented with a new cover on streaming. That's really cool. And hopefully stuff like that, you know, causes people to kind of be able to look back during that time period in Joni's career and like, you know, see it, you know, maybe without the bias or the lens of like, oh, you know, she's just a folk singer, I want to hear her do folk stuff, you know, like a lot of that mid-70s Joni stuff is really good, and her Herbie Hancock stuff is really good too, you know, like Joni Mitchell has come out with very interesting and very compelling music in every era of her career, and you know, people are looking for the simplicity and, you know, the raw acoustics of her early records. You know, obviously aren't getting that quite as much during her mid to late era stuff. But, you know, open your mind a little bit. Expand your tastes. I don't know if this compilation is like the best way to introduce listeners and fans who might be uninitiated to that, though, because it is so dense. There is so much going on here, you know? And, you know, for as much material as there is here, I wouldn't even say this compilation is like the most definitive picture. And that's kind of the thing. Like, Joni has written so much music and recorded so much music with jazz artists and has done albums that, you know, go in a bit more of a jazz direction, that it can't even all be captured among, you know, like frickin' 8 LPs on a massive project like this. But, you know, if you are like if you profess to be a big Joni Mitchell fan and you are curious, you know, I would hop online, look this compilation up, and try to stream some tracks from it and just see, you know, what hits you, and just try to keep in mind that, like, you know, nearly every song in there is from a different project, a different time period, a different something. So you're kind of opening up a new door, a new window to, you know, a different record, a different era of Joni's music, depending on what song that you're listening to. Joni's jazz, I feel like, you know, if it was going to be a good introductory moment, or really kind of like, you know, get people stepping into this side of Joni's work, I think it could have been maybe like whittled down a little bit, you know, to its jazziest moments and maybe its most hard-hitting moments, but it's still a cool and ambitious compilation, to say the least, and you know, probably a reason for people who haven't made the time to do so to look more into this side of her catalog, which again continues to be underappreciated. But yeah, there you have it. That's going to be it for the vinyl update for this month. Thank you very much for watching. Big one, long one, huge one, but we had some big records. We had some big records, some big projects, some big everything on this one. So, you guys are the best. Love you a million. Over here next to my head, probably another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. And forever